Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So I'm back with part 6 of this connection that I'm explaining. So I'm going to start probably from the first or second sentence to the last of the page that I stopped at, and I'm going to get back on to the newest page, and we'll go from there. Now I'm not going to try to I know some of the things in here, some of the details that I mentioned I have to explain, I feel personally, to go more into detail with it. But I know that the less I do explain and go on with what the text says, the more time I will have to get further on. So, yeah. But I'm going to attempt to not talk that much, but when there's certain I absolutely think I need to explain more in vivid detail, I will. Okay? But anyway, let's go. Alright, so this says page 55, but it's also on, like, I've said in the previous video, this is sort of off on that math, how I wrote it, because, anyway. She said she was concerned for me, and if y'all don't know what that meant, y'all can go back and watch the other video. See, I know, show you. I got worried at that point because I knew that she was going to go to the principal's office and or counselor about me and make me sound like I was crazy or something. I kept trying to give her the evidence on how I know, or knew or am convinced this is the case for our grade group level, but she did not buy it. She did not believe it. She did not, take it, and refused to understand, really. Then the next day of school, came, which was on Friday, and I did not say a word to her in person. In the school, I honestly was just waiting for one of the counselors to call me to the office. It didn't happen now, though. I was surprised, but I decided to keep my guard up because I thought it, was that she just hadn't said anything to them yet. After I got back home and got ready, to go back to my uncle's house, I was planning what I was going to say to her, next to her on there. I don't know why I was worried about saying anything else more, but trying to, get to her to understand this, and, I realized now I was trying to force her to understand something that she obviously was not going to, and that wasn't the way to do it, at all. I should have just let it go there and went on my way, but I didn't know that. I wasn't as, vigilant then as I am now. But it was, that Friday night, though, at the homecoming dance that I, was there, and I had a feeling that both her and the girl that I really, 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 had a crush on, cared about, loved, were there too. While I was there, I was standing near the wall, just listening and enjoying the music, when this girl's brother, her friend's brother, not going to say his name, walks up to me and tells me, that his sister and her friend, the one who I love, asked him to ask me to go somewhere else in the room. I felt aggravated and sad. However, I did I didn't move to another side of the room, and I asked him why, and he said that I made them uncomfortable, and I was just standing there. Something about my presence, I guess. I did not get to enjoy it as much as I was expecting to, and I also had to leave an hour early because the person who picked me up, had to go to work in the morning. As we leaving the homecoming dance, I got back on the, chat page between me and this girl on, the platform. I texted a couple of more things telling her how I still felt about, her best friend or her friend, and I was not, giving up no matter what, on her, on the girl I love. I got back up, to his house, and I saw that she had replied back. It was a voice message that she had sent me. It was a message of her verbally saying that her and, the girl who I cared for, do not care about how I feel, that I do look like an okay guy, but it it's because of the way I act and how I follow people around. That my feelings just need to stop for her because she doesn't want me. I didn't understand what she meant by that, by the way I act and how I follow people around, because I've never known myself to follow people around. It sounded like lame, false judgment to me. What I've been kind of dealing with my whole school life, even out of school. But anyway. However, knowing it was coming from her, I just took it by a grain of salt. It was the next day I got up and I got right back on the chat page to see if she had replied to the new messages, and she had not. So I started texting again. I just told her, you can think I'm a weird, bad person all you want to, but only God knows me best right here. As I was texting her, she was viewing the messages, but she finally texted and said, please stop messaging me. I stopped there for a while for the rest of that day, and it wasn't until then, next day, around noon, when I texted her again and said, sorry. My gut kept telling me to stop and get off her page and focus on this connection and stuff like that, since we were entering episode 4 timeline soon of season 10 timeline. I went back on the web and, back on the platform, back on the web, and looked at the episode for it, then the half of the month that we are in, and I just got to myself prepared for the new timeline, what was going to happen and all that, just to make sure I was aware of what was going on. So I knew where we were and all that, timeline, this connection that we would mirror the scenes to us. It was all about staying prepared, and knowing where we were at, currently. I knew already that this season timeline was going to be somewhat longer, because now we were going through 22 episode timelines instead of 16 like previous seasons. It was longer and required more things like time, so I acknowledged that, though since the episodes in the series went smooth up until around 6 timeline, it was going smooth for us. I know though that while I was sitting in 6th period geometry class I had, that the office called in the room and asked me to come to the office. I already knew what it was about, what it was for. I just took a deep breath and hoped for the best, outcome. When I got in there, I went into the principal's office and sat down. She said hi. I did too, and she asked me what was going on between me and this girl. I did not know what to say for a second, because I did not want to involve her friend who I loved. Just didn't want to. I didn't want to involve her name. So I did my best, tried to do whatever I could not to mention it. And it, at all. So I gave her my best answer, which was that I was talking to her about the lies in the school about me, that people and her, her were saying, that I know she told me to stop messaging her, but I did keep on, even though it was one word or two, trying to get an important message to her that I knew she cared nothing about. It did not, work. I should have stopped. Heck, shouldn't even clicked, accept friend request, to be honest with you. But anyway, those are mistakes that I learned from. And just, it just all pissed her off, which led to her going to the office and, complaining. I did not like, nor did I want to sign the thing that I did for no contact between me and her. Didn't want to be involved in that, but I signed it. Paper thing. I'm not going to go in detail on what it already is, but yeah, I had to sign something that's saying I can't, associate with her. But I did, because I wasn't trying to piss off the, connection or the principal. I knew that this was a form of a consequence and did not want to test it. Though time went on for other couple of weeks until until the week that started fall break, right? Happened. I went back up to my uncle's house again on that Friday night. I was in the room texting and talking to a boy named, I'm not gonna say his name, a guy I know in the school, one who has been with us for years since the start of this story. As I was talking to him, the idea came in my mind, for some reason. I figured I could trust him over. I figured I could kind of share it to let him know, to share with him the drawing that I drew of her. I was talking to him on, Snap. On that chat screen, I posted the picture of that drawing and showed him, and I specifically asked him not to send or share it with anyone, period. Even though I saw the notification came up on the screen that he had taken the screenshot, and he replied to me, "Okay, bro, I got you." Exact words. Even though I had a small gut feeling to not share it with him. I should have also known that he had no reason at all to be loyal to me. Why did I think he was going to then? I don't know. Just because I knew him or had known him since then. I did delete the post off the page, but regardless, he had already taken it, gotten it, in his gallery. I did not know it, that night or the next day, but I would end up regretting even showing him. Thinking I could trust that, because something personal and secretive like that is no longer a secret when sharing with someone else, when you know it's only between you and that other person that it's about. The next morning I woke up and I noticed that someone named, not going to share the name, but anyway, I was not familiar with this name. I did not know this person. I thought it was a random person who added me on Snap. I had no idea who that was, so I just decided to ignore it until I got down to my grandma's house. I got back down to the house, and on that Sunday of fall break, and I got settled back in with my TV and everything. It was around 10:30 when I went back on Snap and accepted the friend request from this person who, I did not know their name, didn't know who they were. I went on there and asked, "Hello, who is this?" The person came on from the other side and started texting the message. It came through, and I read it, and I had to read it multiple times over. It was someone telling me to leave her alone, the girl who I love, or else I was going to be taken to court and be charged with harassment. I was confused and lost. I didn't know what to say. How was I harassing her if I'm not even around or near her? Then I texted back and told them to calm down and chill out. At first I thought it was her best friend, mom, or her friend's mom, or not her best friend but her friend's mom, or one of her good friends, other friends. But she said she was this girl's mom, the girl who I care so much about, her mom. I then asked, why was she so angry? Because she was putting 10 exclamation marks at the end of her sentences. She told me she was PO'd off about the drawing. I drew that I was, yeah, about the drawing, and that I was acting like I was obsessed with her. I then realized that he had sent it to her, and they obviously hated it. At that point, it did the best I could to calm her down. I did, and she left the chat page. I went to him and texted him, and like I say, I tried to calm her down, did a little best too. I could have told her that I meant nothing wrong or derogatory about that drawing, because obviously they misunderstood it, and it pissed them off, obviously, the way they went off about it. But I haven't talked to her family since then, so, and that's funny. I did my best to calm her down, and I did, and she left the chat page. I went to him and texted him, confronting him, and sending it when I asked him now, not to share it, because I asked him, I said, I told you not to share this, and, look what you done. Why did you do this, I asked him, I confronted him about it, period. I wanted answers. He came on there and started apologizing to me a lot, to, saying that they must have taken it the wrong way. I said, yeah, they must, because they said, sound, PO'd about it. As he told me that he was sorry, and that they got mad at it. Sorry that they got mad at it and all that. I chose to forgive him that quick, even though when I went back into my room, it was a couple of minutes later when I got another notification on my phone saying that a certain boy I knew, his name, had added me on Snap. I did not know why he had added me, other than to probably threaten to fight me or something, and do something to me for drawing her, because I assumed that they knew about it, because then this is not that girl's brother, this is her friend's brother. Because she would have sent it to them. I added him back and started talking to him, and he asked me what my address was. And I know everybody would say, please tell me you didn't give it out. Please tell me you didn't give it out, right? And the truth is, I did. And I asked him, I did ask him why he wanted it, I was skeptical of giving him my address. I should have blocked him right there, because why did he need it? He told me that he wanted to come over to my house and talk to me about what happened between his sister and that girl, their friendship for a while or something. I don't know. They're between early high school or late middle school, something around that area. I didn't know why he needed to come. I didn't know why he needed to come over to my house just to talk to me about it. Why he couldn't just talk to his sister or her, but I believed him. I believed him. Yeah, y'all probably saying that I'm very gullible. So gullible. So maybe I should just be skeptical of everything everybody says to me now. And if there's even if there's actually a dog in front of me, and somebody says there's a dog, until I have looked up and saw it for myself in front of me, I say there's no such thing as a dog in front of me. I guess that's how skeptical I should go on being, right? Since I'm very gullible. As I was then. Anyway, I gave my address and then deleted it off the page. I noticed that this woman, which was her mom, had already blocked me on there. I thought for a moment that everything was okay and that things were calming down. I started becoming calm and reminding myself to focus on the timeline and that, what comes next. It was a couple of minutes later. I stepped out of my room and I went into the garage where my grandma was sitting down. She was just thinking and sitting there quietly. I just sat there near her and started talking to her. We were talking about my uncle, which was her son. I asked her where he was. She told me he was heading back from Florida. I stood up from the steps leading into the main house, continually talking about him when I looked up and saw that a sheriff deputy's car, a sheriff's car pulled up, and my heart started to drop. I told my grandma, still sitting down, and I went out the door and I went up to the car. The officer rolled down his window and he was on his phone for a moment. The officer asked me for my name. I gave it, I asked him if I was in trouble, and he replied, with maybe, might be, basically. Then behind him, I saw a white van pull up, and the white van had to be a undercover van, because what gave it away as a law enforcement van, even with it, being just plain white with no titles or badges, printed on the side, was the front of it. It had the big, thick railings that cop cars, have. It pulled in right behind the sheriff deputy. Then behind the white van was a state trooper car. My anxiety at that point went up so much, I thought I was going to pass out. I thought that this is it for me. This is it. I'm in trouble somehow, and I ain't coming back from this. This is what I thought. It's over. It's over, even though I feel like I've done nothing wrong. The sheriff's car pulled up, and then the man in the white van, which was actually Mr. Not gonna say his name, which was actually that girl who I like, who I love, her best friend's dad, apparently. That's who it was. Apparently he, worked as a cop or something. So basically, I can't mention their names on here but anyway, their stepdad or something, dad, whatever he was, I don't know the dynamic, but when he stepped out, I immediately figured this was all about his daughter. He walked up the driveway, and he looked at me, and he was wearing a blue work shirt that said security on the back of it. Big bold white letters. I got very confused there, then, because if he is a security guard, then why is he driving a undercover van? Maybe I already know that answer. I don't personally, really, but anyway. Oh man. The zoom in's locked in. Looks like my hand tried to zoom in on the screen. Y'all can't see it, but apparently the zoom is locked. I don't know how that got locked nor why it is, but anyway, let me get back to this. And so and then so my grandma came out, right, and then she led them into the garage, which now you would say that, my grandma know anything about this? And no, she had no clue why they were there at first. And she just said, because he said we need to talk. I need to talk, and so she said, well, let's go in the garage, and we should never let them in the house, honestly, because they didn't have a warrant, so technically they can't enter our house without our permission. Which we stood around and done. She sat down, and the man started explaining what had been going on for nearly 2 months at that point. He mentioned how I was talking to his daughter on Instagram, and how when she asked me to stop messaging, her, I didn't. But to this day, I don't understand and why she just didn't block me on it. I mean, yeah, I could have blocked her too. I should have blocked her when she saw the friend request on it, but why did she just block me? Why? He told them about how the no contact order between me and her was signed, that I had added her on multiple other accounts, and yes, I did. Well, I guess that already answers our question, because that just reminded me. Technically, she did block me. And I had her on other accounts because I wasn't finished trying to talk. Shouldn't have done that. You know, I guess she just could, I don't know, at that point. I should have been the one to just block her day one when she added me. And that's what happened. At least, I don't think it would. I should have, I shouldn't have done that. I followed her on these accounts to see, if I could finish what I was saying and see if she was slandering my name on there, but she knew it was me. Then he got into what had happened that weekend. He said that there was a picture of the girl I was trying to date when she doesn't want to. The drawing was sent to his daughter, and then she gave it to the girl who is about. He did say that there wasn't anything inappropriate about it, but him and the girl's family was thinking about going to press harassment charges on me. I've been hurt so much in this world by other people, and there's stories that nobody really knows from my childhood, being babysitted by a drug dealer, a dope dealer, meth head. If people only knew your backstory before they go off and start judging you just because your actions, it's because they're misunderstanding and they can't just ask you. Hurts. Does anybody else feel this pain? Anybody? Because I'm sure an egg tired of feeling it. Oh. My entire heart dropped at that point. I did not know what to say, but I did not understand why they were going to do that when I had no communication with her, so I did not understand how and why they wanted to do that. Now I see that it was considered harassment because I kept pursuing her after she mentioned multiple times she did not want me. To this day, I don't know 100% understand, how it's considered harassment, because when I think of the word harassment, I think of a bully situation, bullying someone. It still does not make 100% sense to me why what that was doing was considered harassment. I guess now, though, the reason she thinks I'm a creep now is because I kept pursuing her after she rejected me multiple times. I guess that where the creep label started, and her friend also thinks that I'm creepy and a creep because I did that on multiple different accounts and wouldn't let go with her friend, also because I continued to text her after she asked me not to. Though back to this night, the man stayed for around an hour and a half, give or take. I did not know what to do. I was so afraid and shaking, so I just tried to negotiate with him and ask him for another chance or something. Don't press harassment charges. Don't press charges on me. It just doesn't make sense in my mind. But I didn't say it doesn't make sense in my mind. I just said, please, don't do this. Don't, you understand what I'm saying. He did tell me that, he would give me one more chance, and I got relieved on his side, but he said that he could not speak for her dad, the other girl's dad. Need me page. Therefore, I did not know what was going to come from her dad. The man then shook my hand and left with the two law enforcement officers. The state trooper didn't even come in until the tail end of it, and I offered to shake his hand, but he said, "Oh no, I don't shake hands." I think that honestly was an ego thing, but anyway. I don't know him, so yes, I took that personal because it was just, you know, toward me, the way he said it and acted. I believe that was personal. They then left, though, and I went to be shaking. I went to bed just shaking that night, just tore up. Just, gosh, couldn't sleep. I had nightmares. I did. Ooh. Bad time. And, the rest of my fall break was basically ruined. Just completely ruined from that point. I knew that night what had happened was a consequence from this connection somehow for me trying to rush the story. I figured. I learned that night not to do it. Understand this, though. These have been consequences I have had to face, though not whoever is reading this or listening to this, because y'all are listening. That's why I looked at that. It was who's listening to this, reading this. I knew, though, that if you try to rush or change the story up, that this type of stuff will happen. Thursday of fall break came, and I decided to go on Facebook and text her mom and apologize and ask her to press charges against me and my family. She accepted the apology, and then said to me, there is not to be any more contact with our family again. I was so hurt and I felt so broken at that point. The next Monday came, and I returned to school still shaken up and trying to collect myself from that night before he left that night. He told me not to tell anyone about, what just happened, what he was there and all that night. I already knew, though, that his stepdaughter and, his kids, were going to slander my name with it, throughout their friends and the school. I felt completely powerless, though, that they were all going to run right over me and that there was nothing I could do about it. In spite of all of that happening, though, I still love her. And I chose to continue staying loyal to my oath, as I figured that they were going to slander my name with it. They did, and it made my reputation in school as the boy who is the weirdo, creepy stalker. All of their friends know their side of the story, at least, and they like drama, obviously. So that is one reason they believe it. They don't care and don't, want to know my side of it. Don't talk to me about it. I just know that, yes, I was going to continue to focus on her, but this connection too. Though, her friends, the girl I like, the girl I love, her friends, in one of my classes told me what she actually thinks of me, which again hurt my feelings because I know I'm not that. They told me that, though, that she thinks I'm a creep and that I'm very weird, also that I should let go of her, but I told them face to face that I wasn't. I didn't give them my reasoning, even though they asked why I couldn't. They asked why I was obsessed with her, and I know I'm not obsessed with her. I know I'm loyal. Those two friends started to assume and believe to themselves that I was a creep and really weird too, just as much as the others. I tried my best to ignore it and their opinions and to focus on where we were in the timeline, but that was really kind of easier said than done. Alright, I'm nearly running out of time. I might have time to get through one more page, but I can't guarantee it. I'm gonna try. Of course, of that, I really don't know what this next word is. of that, in parentheses apparently, or is that a parenthesis? What is that? Give me 1 second. Sometimes I can't read my own handwriting. How crazy, right? Alright, so I really don't know what this word is, but of that W, I can't tell whether I meant to put R, I, but I can tell that's an EN at the end. Season, I started reviewing the part I knew we were, in, to make sure that I was prepared for what happened. I know that just at the same time that Alexandria had a council meeting to discuss the Whispers and what was new info they had about them. In school, we had a pep rally, and they were discussing things coming up and other things. I know that mirrored that scene, just as the first half of season 10 went okay for the story and the characters. It was smoothly, for most of us. I know it seems like it was a nightmare for me personally, which it was, but I mean, aside from that, I know that as the middle of the year came very close, that things really did start getting more intense, and the school grades started getting harder and worse. I knew where we were in the timeline, so I knew why it was. All of the communities that were still up, Alexandria, Hilltop, Oceanside, all of them were dealing with the Whispers crap, threats, kills, wars, all that. Being threatened by Alpha and Beta. I do not know. Do know that in November and going into December, that my leg, just a couple of inches above the knee cap, had a pain of some type that came into it, and it felt like I had been cut or stabbed. I didn't know why this pain had shown up, and it lasted for a while. I went and reviewed where we were in the middle of the timeline, and I realized that Daryl had gotten stabbed in the leg. Tell you what, I'm gonna stop right here because I'm gonna forget where I was tomorrow. Alright, so we were on it says 68, but that's gonna be 67 technically. I go back and fix these page numbers when I get the opportunity. But anyway, I got school tomorrow again, so, and technically, well, I'll save that until we're there. But yeah, this page, I'm gonna write this page, so I can start right back on page 68. Well, what it says, this page. All right, so that should do the trick. Put this right back there. There we go. I didn't slam that. I just closed it sort of hard. Alright, but yeah, anyway, that was a experience of a night I had, and I'll probably never forget it. But you guys have a great night, and I hope you have a blessed night. And I'm actually going to talk about, God and stuff along with this connection when I'm done reading this entire thing. And because I know, in a way, it makes it sound like I believe in two different religions at once. But this ain't a religion. So, but anyway, look at that. You guys have a great night, and I'll see you in the next one. I'll get into that stuff. I will.